I would request all participants to please keep their videos on. Hello everyone, welcome to the third session of the Mental Health Awareness Week organized by HR Speaks. Mental health affects how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our ability to handle emotions, stress, how we socialize with others, and making decisions are greatly influenced by our mental state. It is high time we realize that our mental health is as important as our physical health. As the American author Dan Millin said, you don't have to control your thoughts, you just have to stop letting them control you. With anxiety, it may be tough to abide by this statement, but knowing how to help yourself out of it is the best gift you can give yourself. Today, we have a revered psychologist with us who will take us through this anxiety to help you identify your reasons for anxiety. On this note, I, Divya Gurnani, President of HR Speaks, would like to welcome our guest for today, Dr. Sheba Singh. I would also like to welcome our teacher in charge, Professor Shweta Singh, the faculty members, and our dear students to this session exploring the anxiety spectrum. I would also like to take the opportunity to introduce to our freshers what HR Speaks is all about through a short video. I would now like our professor in charge, Mrs. Shweta Singh, to give a note of welcome.
Thanks, Divya. Good evening, everyone. Following our two enriching sessions held this week, we are here with a third session for the Mental Health Week, focusing on exploring the anxiety spectrum. I hope the students make good use of this opportunity and go back with better knowledge on identifying the anxiety they face in lives. On behalf of H.R.College, HSNC University, HR Speaks, I, Professor Shweta Singh, would like to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Sheba Singh, our faculty members, our students. Now, I would like to call upon Diti to introduce Dr. Sheba Singh. Thank you.
Anxiety is more than feeling stressed or worried. It can be tough to cope, but with the right support, things can get better. Hello and welcome to everyone tuning in. We are once again back with another thrilling session as a part of a Mental Health Awareness Week, exploring the anxiety spectrum. Our guest speaker for today is Dr. Sheba Singh. Dr. Sheba has done doctorate in psychology and has submitted various research papers in this field. She has diverse experience in academia, social endeavors, and practice for close to a couple of decades. She has also mentored and supervised many graduate and postgraduate psychology students in various universities like SNDT by conducting workshops and discourses on anxiety, depression, relaxation techniques, parenting, etc. Currently, she practices in Powai as a consultant psychologist and is a senior affiliate with one of India's leading employment assistance program, that is EAP program.
Kindly note that you can post your questions in the chat box throughout the meeting or privately to Dr. Sheba, but they shall be answered after half an hour in the Q&A round. Kindly raise your hand if you wish to ask something. Over to you, Dr. Sheba.
Thank you so much, Dite, for a nice introduction. I've always been in touch with students, and it's very nice to be with you all today. So we'll try to explore today about anxiety, all other things which come under anxiety, and how to deal with anxiety on your own if you're not going to a psychologist or a mental health professional. Right? Do I share my screen? Because I have a PPT to show you all. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see this now? Yeah. Can you all see this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. This is the most asked question these days, you know. Can you see this? Can you hear me? Okay. Let me start with uh, a client's case. Right? There was this 19-year-old engineering student from a top engineering college who walked into my cabin and he complained of acidity. I thought, okay, maybe he must have gone for some physical test or he must have gone to some physician if he doesn't have anything else than acidity. But he said that he's gone through all physical tests and he's visited some physicians also, but the tests are all clear and normal. And he has nothing else than acidity. Now, on exploring more, I understood that he is lacking concentration for the last 2 months and he's not able to concentrate on his studies. He is not slept for the last 4 days and he's been having some disturbed sleep for last 2 months and his appetite is also disturbed. Also, he shared that he was not able to decide on his own and he always wanted some help when he has to decide something on something, right? So, I understood then that he is going through some anxiety for the last 2 months. That's what he told me. Maybe earlier also, in snippets, maybe you must be having some anxiety. But for the last 2 months and for the last 4 days, he was having all these symptoms, uh, heightened symptoms, right? So I understood that he's going through some anxiety. Now you would be wondering why he has this acidity, because acidity is again a symptom of anxiety. So when people are very anxious, they show some physiological discomfort also, and they show some physiological symptoms also, which sometimes we are not able to understand why this is happening, right? So let's now go through what all is included in anxiety. Now, when we say anxiety spectrum, it includes so many types of anxieties. Like if I talk about disorders, then the first one we talk about is generalized anxiety disorder. And we also have phobias in anxiety because all these are anxiety-based disorders. Phobias, OCD, panic disorder, and social anxiety. Separation anxiety is another disorder which is included in anxiety spectrum. But right now, today, we'll discuss about generalized anxiety disorder, which would also include panic attacks. And we'll discuss obsessive compulsive disorder, phobias, and social anxiety, right? So let's start with the presentation. Let's see what generalized anxiety disorder includes. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, appetite is disturbed, right? Either your appetite becomes very less, or it heightens, it increases. Same goes with sleep. Either it becomes it decreases or it increases. Okay, but I think you should sleep like a child like this. How peacefully is sleeping? So we need to sleep like this, but then when we're anxious, we are not able to do like say, or sleep like this. Okay. Now, acidity, like I said, yeah. So stomach disorders, stomach problems like constipation, acidity, or also increased heart rate. So you experience palpitations when you're anxious, right? Heartbeat increases. Okay. Now, also there are some other symptoms also which we face. So shaking or trembling. We suddenly start shaking when we are anxious, or we have some negative thoughts in our mind. We start shaking. We start hyperventilating. So we start breathing quickly, the fast breathing, right? Or sometimes you're breathing, you're not able to breathe. So breathlessness or fast breathing, right? You feel very tired. Even after you don't do anything, you still feel tired. Even if you have not done any physical exercise, or you have not done anything physically, you've not done anything mentally, but still you feel tired, right? Most of the times when, suppose the bell rings and you have to go till the door to open it, you're not able to do it. You have to drag yourself to till the door, right? Nothing is wrong with your legs. Nothing is wrong with your body. But still you have to drag yourself till the door. What is that? That is maybe sadness. So you're sometimes sad and you feel very tired. You feel lethargic. You don't feel like walking. You don't feel like getting up in the morning. Right? So that's how body and mind are related. So if you are physically not sound, obviously you'll have some implications on your mind, and vice versa. If you are not mentally sound, then you would find some implications on your physical health, right? But many a times there is no actual harm to your body. It's only psychological, but that doesn't mean that you should not do anything about it, right? So obviously you have to look into what is happening, either physically or mentally. So first of all, just go and get a checkup done physically, so that we rule out any physical difficulties, and then we come to the psychological difficulties, right? Yeah. And then obviously we feel very anxious in front of the crowd, and we sweat. Okay. Yeah. Now coming to psychological symptoms, those were all physiological symptoms. These are psychological symptoms. We worry a lot. We fear, we worry. There's too much chaos in our mind when we have to decide something. We are very frustrated, irritated, uh, very angry sometimes, right? Because uh, we are not feeling very normal. So this is concerning our emotions, our feelings, um, uh, and our mental health. Many a times you must have seen people. Now you are still in college, and I don't know if you have attended any interviews, but if you see some candidates in an interview, you would see they're fidgeting, right? Either they're shaking their leg, or they're fidgeting with their hand, or maybe when you're sitting in front of your professor, or when you are sitting in the examination hall, you're fidgeting with something. That's a sign of anxiety. Okay. And too much chaos, lack of concentration, and you want to do everything at once, but that's not possible, right? Because nothing is organized in your mind. That's all because of anxiety. Yeah. Now, why do we say this is a generalized anxiety disorder or this is a generalized anxiety? Because there is no specific thing about which we are anxious. Uh, Anything which comes up and we are anxious about it. We actually pick up things to be anxious, right? Now, I'm not saying that you deliberately do it, but then this is what happens when we are anxious, right? So, the if we ask about the physiological causes or the biological causes of anxiety, then we may say there is some neural difficulty or neurochemical imbalance in our mind, which creates all these anxieties, right? But as I am a psychologist, I say the root is your thought process, the way you think, right? So when therapy happens or you visit a mental health professional, you need to concentrate on changing your thought process, right? If you go to a psychiatrist, because they are trained in medicine, they would give you a medicine to settle down your neurochemistry. But this is a vicious circle kind of a thing. When the symptoms are heightened, you need to go to a psychiatrist because you won't be able to understand therapy. And there is, say, you should not be visiting a psychologist if there is an emergency. So if there is an emergency, go and visit a psychiatrist, take a medicine because that is very effective immediately. And when your anxiety settles down and you are in a state where you can sit stably and listen to the psychologist, then you may visit a psychologist, right? And if the difficulties are mild, then you may directly go to a psychologist and she or he may try to change your thought process, right? Yeah. So I have just given a gist over here, whatever we have discussed right now. So these are the psychological arousals or psychological symptoms. So we worry, we are fearful, we are irritable, there is poor concentration, sensitivity to noise, poor memory. So, okay, we didn't discuss sensitivity to noise. Suppose you're very anxious or you have your exam next day and somebody is watching TV on, say, a very mild volume. Still, it looks like the volume is too high, right? So you are sensitive to noise. So even if there is a small noise outside and you are studying, you get very irritated because you think that it is hindering in your studies, right? So that is called sensitivity to noise. Even if it is normal, it looks like it is very increased. So yes, autonomic overactivity, sweating, like we have already discussed, sweating, palpitations, drying of mouth. See, many a times when we are anxious or when we are standing in front of public and speaking, your mouth dries very quickly, right? So you need water all the time. Epigastric discomfort, we've already discussed. Dizziness also. Muscle tension. Yeah, this is a very, very important part of anxiety. Muscle tension, your muscles are stretched. When you are anxious, you don't realize that your muscles are stretched. Your body is stretched. Um, And sometimes not the whole body, but some parts of your body are stretched, very tense, right? And there is an exercise which I usually do with my clients, that is called progressive muscle relaxation, which realizes or which makes you realize which part of your body becomes tense when you're anxious. And once you understand, once you identify which is the body part which is anxious, you may relax that. That that exercise also teaches you how to relax your body parts, right? So the first point over here is that you have to identify which part of your body gets tense when you're anxious, right? Okay, now trembling, inability to relax, headache. Um, headache is very, very common in anxiety, because you understand this part, when these shoulders and the back here is very tense, your head starts aching immediately. Your this part and head starts aching, right? So we have to concentrate on relaxation first of all before going for any therapy. So we'll discuss everything how to get rid of anxiety without the help of mental health professional if it's mild. Yeah. And a very important thing, okay, forgot to tell you that we all understand that this all is going on and this is anxiety, and whatever I'm thinking is probably not right, and I don't know why I'm thinking, and but the only difficulty is that we are not able to control it. Even if we know that this is not right or this is not how I should think, still we are not able to control it, and there we need the help of a mental health professional. Yeah. Yeah. Social anxiety. Uh, most of us experience this anxiety. Social anxiety is when we speak in front of others, uh, we become very anxious because there is a fear of being judged, right? There is a fear that everybody is looking at me and I am the point of attraction, or I am a person whom everybody is looking at, right? So that makes us very anxious, very tense. You know, when I was 12, 13 years old, that was my first stance on the stage. Um, I went for a debate competition. I had learned everything, but when I went on the stage, that was a huge stage and so many schools were participating. I went on the stage, stood up on the dais, and I said good morning, and I forgot everything. Looking at the audience, I just forgot everything. And I stood there for I think 30 to 40 seconds, said thank you, sorry, and came down. That was the point. That was the first and the last episode with me. I started working on myself after that. And today I think I can speak in front of people now. So it's not a problem anymore. So that was when I was 12, 13 years old. And I think all of us feel like that at some point of time in our life. Yeah. But it's very easy to overcome it. It's very natural to feel like this, and it's very easy to overcome it. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's the first thing, because this is very common and this usually happens with everybody. Now, the extent increases when we don't go out, we stop going out because we'll have to interact with other people. We'll have to interact with strangers. We'll have to speak to them. So we don't have any stuff to speak about, right? Not because we don't know anything or we don't have anything to talk about, but because we are anxious, right? So we stop going out to parties, we stop meeting other people. Uh, we are only limited to some 2, 3 people who are our friends. But if friends are going out to a party or they are interacting with other people, then we are not game. We back out. We don't spend time with strangers because we feel awkward and we feel what will others think about me, right? So you become socially isolated if you have social anxiety, right? Now also you must have seen um, when you are standing on the stage, you are trembling. Most of us feel like that. And we think that everybody can see us trembling. But that's not the case. Nobody can see us trembling until and unless it is too much of it and it is visible. Mostly it is not visible. And that makes us more anxious that everybody can see me trembling. And everybody can understand that I am very apprehensive standing over here. Right? But that's not the case. Nobody knows about it. That's your own feeling. Right? Okay. Now you also feel nauseatic. You feel like vomiting when you're anxious, when you fear too much, you feel nauseatic. Yeah. And you feel very chaotic, unorganized. And like I gave you my example, I didn't know what to say at that time. I knew everything, but then I could not speak. Okay, I'll tell you another example. That was later when I had overcome my anxiety about it. That was later uh, when I was in the university and I had to present a paper. There was another colleague of mine who was presenting a paper in that conference, and we were students, but there were all professors, say senior professors, sitting over there in the room. I presented my paper very nicely, but the other one, she didn't speak a word, not even good morning, good evening, nothing at all. She just stood there, and there we had an option to open our paper and read it from there. Right? She didn't open her paper, she didn't read from there. She just stood there for 2 minutes. I was sitting in front of her, rather besides her, and I told her to open her paper. She later told me that I tried opening my paper and looking into it, but I couldn't see any words. That was the extent of anxiety. She said I could not read from the paper because the paper looked blank. Right? So that's the kind of anxiety people sometimes feel. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the situations when we feel socially anxious. Public speaking, social gatherings, speaking in front of authority figures, office meetings, talking to strangers. Now, when I'm talking about office meetings, uh, I come across so many clients who come to me and who say that they are scared of their bosses. That they say that if only my colleagues are present, I'm okay. But if there is one boss present over there, I become very anxious and I'm unable to present my PPT. That is very difficult. And the fear is, what if he asks something which I don't know? right? So now, if you are presenting something and that is your work, it is highly likely that you know everything. But at the same time, you are a human and you also may not know something, right? Even if you have worked on it, you should be ready with your answers. If somebody asks you something and you don't know something, right? Like right now, you would be asking me so many questions. I may not know something. I know my subject. I have learned so much and I've experienced so much, but I see a new situation every day. Every day, even if people are feeling anxious, I understand that this is anxiety, but the situation for every person is different. And I witness a different kind of scenario every day. Right? So we as humans, we learn every day and we may not know something if somebody asks us something. Right? So nothing to fear about if one boss or three bosses or 10 bosses are sitting over there. Right? So that is the kind of thought reversal we need to do. If you're not able to do it yourself, then you may reach out to a professional. Yeah? Okay. Now we learn something about phobias. We all know what phobias are. What types of phobias, we all know about it. And we also know that this is some kind of fear, right? Now, what kind of fear is this? This is an irrational fear. That also we know. Now, this one, why do we say this is irrational? Because, you know, this is out of proportion of the danger. Suppose there is a lion standing in front of you. What would you say? You say, okay, I'm fine. No, you're scared. You would maybe run away from there, right? So that's not a phobia. That is proportionate to the danger. But if suppose there is a spider in your room and you start screaming and you start running and you go out of the room and you assemble so many people and you just tell him or tell them that there is a spider in my room. Okay? The danger is not that much which you're showing or which you're experiencing, right? So the fear is out of proportion of the danger, and that is what is phobia. Many people are scared of lizards. When they say a lizard in their room, they just run out of the room. They start screaming. The sight of the lizard is very disgusting for them. That is, we may say that is a phobia, right? Okay, let's see what other types of phobias are there. Yep. So this is a fear of thunder and lightning. So there was this patient of mine who came to me and he said that his wife said that he's scared of rain. So when she said जब भी बारिश होती है तो हम मुंबई से चले जाते हैं. So we run away from Mumbai wherever there is no rain, right? So he was that scared of rain. And wherever there is, see, he used to go to Ahmedabad. Say, suppose he experiences rain over there also, he would go somewhere else. He lost his job because he was not able to stay in Mumbai in rainy season. And whenever, obviously, when the rainy season ended, he came back, he resumed his work. But then, obviously, he was not feeling very comfortable going there. He was not feeling comfortable at home also. So whenever he used to hear that thunder sound, so he used to fear that now I will experience rain. So that is the kind of phobia we used to experience. Now, like I said, spider or a cockroach or a small reptile maybe, and you fear too much. Okay? And then this is very common, which is called claustrophobia. This is fear of closed places. So if you're stuck in a lift, you fear too much, or you are not able to go in a closed place. Okay? Nothing will happen. We all know that we can breathe in small places also. In a lift also we can breathe, but then still we are fearful. Okay? So yeah. So some people are scared to go in an airplane. Uh, they there was this patient of mine who had to go to her parents' place in an airplane. She was very excited to go to her parents' place, but then again she was very anxious because she had to go alone, and her husband was not free on in those days, and she had to go alone. So there was this mixed feeling. She had come to me to treat this. She said that I want to go, and I'm very excited to meet my parents. But then what do I do? Right? So this is the kind of fear they feel. Now, this is again kind of claustrophobia, maybe fear in of being in a closed place. Or sometimes people feel that the airplane will crash and I will die. That's also some kind of thought which comes to their mind. So there may be different types of thoughts which come in patients' minds. Right? So that is called aerophobia. Then there is fear of darkness, which many children experience. So till the time maybe when they are 9, 10, or maybe till 12 years of age also some children feel fear of darkness. But then after that, if they feel they need to be treated. Right? So even if it is till the age of 12 years, they should understand that this is not normal. So parents should encourage their children to be in dark spaces and not feel that phobia. Right? So parents need to help their children till they are 12, and maybe later when it increases, or maybe you see that it is not decreasing, then you may go and seek help. Then there is a fear of heights. Nothing will happen. We are standing in a closed space, but then if we look down, it looks like that I will fall down. Or there may be other thoughts also in people's minds. Yeah. So this is all about phobia. Sorry. Yeah. So um, another disorder which comes under anxiety spectrum is obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, if we talk about obsessive compulsive, and I'm saying this comes under anxiety spectrum, this was earlier some what should I say, some 7 years back, when there was a different classification of mental disorders. Now there is a new classification of mental disorders which keeps obsessive compulsive disorder as a different disorder. So they say that this doesn't come under anxiety spectrum. But if you go deep and look at it, this is again an anxiety based disorder. So people have anxiety and this gets converted into obsessions and compulsions. Right? So when we are treating obsessive compulsive people, we are treating actually their anxieties. So let's see what what do they do when they suffer from this disorder? Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's see how it operates, how it goes about. Okay. So now there are two things involved in obsessive compulsive disorders. One is obsession, another is compulsion. So obsession is your thought and compulsion is your behavior. So when a thought comes to your mind, and when it comes to your mind again and again, repeatedly it comes to your mind, and then you act upon it, that becomes obsessive compulsive disorder. So obsessions are thoughts, those repeated thoughts, and compulsions are your repeated behaviors, which you are doing as a result of obsessive thought. Yeah. So suppose now, okay, let's understand the cycle first. So there is a thought in your mind and it increases your anxiety. Now, this is the second step. The third one is that you behave. Now, I'll give you an example about it. And when you behave, you get a relief. You feel good. You feel relaxed. Right? Now, putting an example into this cycle, I'll give you a very small example, which we as normal people also experience most of the times. Many a times you would say, lock the door and come and sit down in your room. Now a thought crosses your mind, have I locked the door? This is a thought. And if I think at the same moment that yes, I've just locked the door, I'll not be anxious. If this thought comes to my mind again and again, I think that no, I've not locked the door, and this thought is coming to me again and again, this begins to increase my anxiety. I become very anxious when I think that I have not locked the door. Right? Now that brings me till the door. That is my behavior. That is a compulsion. So now I go till the door, look at the door that it is locked, and then I feel relaxed. Right? Okay. Now, what happens? Now, when you feel relaxed, you again come to your room. Again, this thought strikes your mind that have I locked the door? Again, this anxiety increases, and you again go to the door, look at it again, and then feel relaxed. That's why it is temporary relief, because this thought comes to your mind again and again. So when you are doing it, so you also know that you have locked the door. You also know that there is no need to go and look at it again, but still you're not able to control it. You again, that thought comes to your mind, again that anxiety increases, and you again go. So this is an action. You again go to the room, to the door, and look at it. Right? So that makes the OCD person very tired also physically, because he is not able to sit at one place. He again and again goes and looks at the door. So there is tiredness, there is fatigue in the patient. So when the patient is fatigued, he then sleeps. Right? Sometimes in the middle of the sleep also, he gets this thought again. Right? Now there are different types of obsessions and different types of behaviors and actions. Right? Now I'll tell you a very different case, a very different patient's case. That was long back, and this girl thought that whatever is missing on the table, has gone inside her, right? So she used to start searching for that small thing. That was her obsession. She also knew that a pen or a pencil cannot go into her body without her gulping it, right? But still, uh, this used to happen. She was not able to control her thoughts. Okay, so that was another type of obsessive patient. Now let's see what other obsessions people have. So people have an obsession of cleanliness or being very organized. So look at the distance between the pencils. It's all very similar or maybe same. They are that organized, right? Then there is a ritual which is called counting. So many a times we count so many times. Say I have to count till I do this, I have to count till 10, or I have to count the blocks when I'm walking. So this is called counting ritual. Okay. Now, this is very common, washing hands. This is a ritual which many people experience. So this is a OCD of cleanliness. And this washing hands their hands become like this after washing. They wash it too many times. So there are scratches on their hands after that much of washing, right? So, okay. So that brings us to the end of, say, we have discussed 4 disorders or difficulties. So, and the intensity may be very low to very high, right? So you have to understand if you can deal with your difficulty yourself, then it's very good. I will discuss some tips to deal with anxiety yourself. If you're not able to do it, then you should rather definitely go to a mental health professional. And a very good thing is that mental health is treatable. We can treat this problem of yours, right? Either it is very low in intensity or very high in intensity. We can do something about it, and you should not suffer with your problems. Get it treated, okay? And because you are students, you can become ambassadors of mental health. You should rather tell everybody or your near and dear ones, if you feel that they are suffering, you should always tell them to get themselves treated, right? Because most of the times we feel that this is just a phase in one's life and this would go away, but that's not the case. Uh, this is not a phase. If you don't treat it, it will increase, right? If there's a bruise on your hand and you don't get it treated, it will increase. The wound will increase. Same goes with mental health. So if you don't treat it, it will increase, and the earlier it is, the better prognosis it has, right? So let's see how we can deal with it. So there are very simple things which you can do to enhance your mental health or to have a good, healthy mind. So first of all, you should have a good sleep. Now, when I say good sleep is 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. Nowadays in lockdown, or maybe when you're staying at home, I have seen students, even elders, also adults, all adults, they are staying late till night, and then they wake up early sometimes if they have work. But then I think you should regulate your sleep because it gives you energy for the next day. So 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day is very important. Now, having said this, I would also want to mention here, some people have very less sleep originally, naturally. So some people sleep for 5 hours only, and then they feel very fresh after that. Sleep decreases with age, with the increase in age. So people, when they age, the sleep becomes less, and they feel okay with it. There is no difficulty. Younger people need more sleep, and they sleep also more, right? So naturally, if people have 5 hours of sleep from the very beginning and they feel okay and they feel energized after it, um, then we should think that if they are sleeping for 2 hours or 3 hours, then this is decreased sleep. And if they are sleeping for 8 hours or 9 hours, then it is increased sleep. So we have to see, this is a very relative term, but we generalize it and we say that 7 to 8 hours of sleep is necessary for a human being. Right? So you should see how you are sleeping. Also, you have to understand, how is your sleep? Is it disturbed? Or are you getting any nightmares? Or are you getting up in the middle of the night because you're very fearful, or there is a nightmare in the middle of the night? Okay, is your sleep disturbed? You have to see that, right? Now, appetite. That's another important thing. You have to check what your appetite is. Say, suppose you were eating 3 meals a day earlier and it has decreased to 2 meals. That means that your appetite is decreased, right? If you are feeling very hungry all the time, and earlier you were having only 3 meals a day and you were feeling okay, but now nothing seems adequate and you are eating too much, right? Then you need to look at it and regulate your appetite. Yeah? Now, why have I have told you sleep and appetite? Because these two things are the first symptoms of any difficulty, whether it's a physical difficulty or a mental difficulty. The first thing which will be changed would be your sleep and appetite. Yeah? So try to regulate both these things if you want to enhance your mental health. Exercise regularly. Now, exercise has two uh, impacts or effects. Exercise releases happy hormones if we are talking about mental health. So, happy hormones make you happy, obviously, and that's how exercise helps you uh, in enhancing your mental health. Now, second thing is your physical fitness. Obviously, when you are exercising, when you're physically active, when you're doing yoga, when you're doing breathing exercises, that keeps your body fit. So, exercise is very important, not only for physical fitness, for mental fitness also. Yeah? So, these are very, very simple things which you should do every day. Now, relaxation exercises, like I said, I've already told you about progressive muscle relaxation and deep breathing. Now, this deep breathing you can do anytime and anywhere. Even if you are sitting in your college and you feel anxious, you can do this deep breathing. And if you have learned progressive muscle relaxation, you can also do it without others knowing about it. Anywhere, even if you are sitting in a class or you sitting with friends, you can do this exercise. Now, making an activity schedule is also very, very important, and it makes you very organized. Specifically, when you are in these times when we don't have any schedule, we don't have to go anywhere. and we are working according to ourselves, especially in these times, activity schedule is very important, right? Even if you have to go to college or you have to go to office, still this helps a lot. This helps you organize. See, before sleeping at night, if you have a activity schedule ready for the next morning, it becomes so much easier for you, and you are less anxious when you get up in the morning. You're less anxious because you know what you have to do now. You will waste less time in thinking what I have to do now, right? So make an activity schedule. Now, um, specifically, if I say in these times when you are at home, so you should include productivity, leisure, and exercise. These three things in your schedule. So at the end of the day, you should feel that you have done something today and you've not wasted time, and also you have done a bit of physical exercise. Maybe at home only, you can spot jog, you can do some skipping, or if you have a treadmill at home, you can walk on it. Things like that. You can think of so many. You have to be very creative about it if you're doing it, right? And leisure is also very important. So it's not only productivity, it's not only achieving something throughout the day, it's also important for you to rest for some time. Okay. Now, everybody who has already been diagnosed with some disorder or some difficulty, they should be doing all these things which I have just mentioned. Plus, they should also continue with your offline or online therapy. That's also important. Don't skip your therapy sessions, because that breaks the chain, and then you are on your same thought process, right? So don't skip your therapy, or if you're taking medicines, don't skip your medicines, right? Now, definitely, if nothing works for you and you're still not able to control your anxiety, you still have some thoughts in your mind, then you seek professional help. You go to a psychologist, like I earlier said, that if there is an emergency, then you need to go to a psychiatrist immediately. And if the symptoms are mild, don't ignore your symptoms. So earlier it is, the better it would be. So the therapist will also have to make the less effort, and you will also have to make less effort, and the prognosis would be very good, right? Yeah. Oh, yes. So, guys, I just want to say, or I just want to invite you for my website launch, which is happening on 10th of October at 11 a.m. And Dr. Harish Shetty, he's a senior psychiatrist. He would be launching it. So you all are invited. The link would be shared on my social media, and you can follow me on my social media. And be there on 10th at 11. Right? Thank you so much. And Shweta, if you allow, can I play a video?
Sure, definitely, Dr. Sheba.
Locked doors, yeah, I'm trapped in. Underwater, can't breathe, suffocating. Can't think, yeah, my thoughts be wandering. Nowhere to go, guess I'm staying hiding. Yeah, yo, feeling so alone. The world is kinda scary, so I climb back in my zone. Feeling so lost, trying to find my way home. Always been an outsider, cast away the unknown. I don't know what to do, should I tell my friends? But then again, my friendships may end. So I keep it to myself, won't let you in. Lord, tell me how much longer before it ends. It's like I'm living life through a dark tunnel. I can see light, but I can only see it. Even though some days I feel like I reached it, only to be knocked back down the tunnel, feeling defeated. I start back up just to stop again. Failure becomes my reliable new friend. I need to be free to tell. I pray the stigma gone. I pray that fear would fail. I pray that God will free my mind from this jail cell. At least give me some people that I can tell, that I can trust. Won't write me off as wasted dust. I just wish my mind would hush. Bridge to get from where I am to where I wanna be. I wanna live free from all this misery. Can you help me? Help me to be free. Yeah. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope. There's hope. We are here for you. Hold on. Too. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope. We are here for you. He is too. Yeah, there's help and there's hope, and there's a way to see life clearer, no scope. And there are three things that you really need to know. So let me get to them right before I let you go. You're not a mistake, and your struggles don't define you. Wrote this song only to remind you your value priceless. Yeah, you're to die for, with a plan and purpose. No, you're not worthless. I know this for certain. No, you're not a burden. We all need to feel pain when someone is hurting. You gotta know you're worth it. There's hope for certain. There is hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. On your own, by yourself. There is hope. We are here for you. And he is too. There is hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. On your own, by yourself. Yeah. There is hope. We are here for you. He is too. I need a bridge to get from where I am to where I wanna be. I wanna live. I wanna live free from all this misery. Can you help me? Help me to be free. There is hope. You're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope. We are here for you. You is too. There is hope. You're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope. We are here for you. He is too.
That was a wonderful video.
And that's my favorite video. That's why I wanted. How do I go back?
Stop sharing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Divya.
Ma'am, can we have a Q&A round right now, or it's already 7, so?
You're asking me?
Yes, if Dr. Sheba permits, can we have very few question and answers in specific?
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. So Divya, go ahead, please.
So, ma'am, some people have already privately messaged you, and
Okay.
probably you can just have a look on the chat box.
Okay.
There's this one person asking how to stop racing thoughts.
How to stop? Sorry,
How to stop racing thoughts.
racing thoughts. Uh, like I said, racing thoughts is again a symptom of anxiety. Now, when I say symptom of anxiety, this one symptom doesn't make it only anxiety. Now, this is a symptom of so many other things, right? So, if you have other things also or other problems or difficulties coming up, then you should list all those difficulties, right? I will not be able to diagnose right now. The only thing is that I can only say that this is a symptom of anxiety, definitely. And whatever tips I have given you, start doing it right away so that you see if there is a difference in your behavior or if there is a difference in your thought, right? That's what you can do. Yes. Anything else? So you were saying that I read all these and then answer, is it?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, some must have requested anonymously, so if you could just answer them with the questions.
Yes, yes, definitely.
There is a question. Can I read it out?
Yes, please.
A student has a fear of exam and has failed a professional exam once and gathered guts to give the exam again and again failed and then went on failing all the other exams. Will you consider this anxiety or fear of exams?
Uh, See, if you were prepared for the exam and still could not write, then we may say this is anxiety. But if you didn't know your stuff and you failed, then that is not anxiety. Then your fear is not out of proportion because you don't know your stuff, you have no knowledge, and that's why you're failing. Otherwise, if you're anxious, otherwise, and you know your stuff, you know your paper, you know what you have to write, but you are unable to write at that time, that anxiety is not helping you, right? There are two kinds of stresses like eustress and de-stress. Now, eustress is very important for you to appear in an exam because a little stress, little anxiety about something pushes you or motivates you to do something, right? But if you cross that level of eustress, that becomes distress. And if you are distressed about something, that will hinder in your performance and that will not let you write down your exam. So majorly focus on your anxiety if you know your stuff and you're not able to write down in your exam, right? Yeah. Yeah. So there are other questions also. I just read. Whenever I see someone calling me, my heart starts beating faster, and I get a bit of tension. And sometimes I even reject the call. Uh, can you tell me why is that? Um, Say if the call is from a stranger, then we may say that you are facing social anxiety because you don't know how to talk to him because you don't know him. But if it the call is from somebody whom you know, maybe your mom's call, your brother's sister's call, then probably that is definitely anxiety again. But this is a different kind of anxiety. So the treatment would differ depending on what type of anxiety it is, right? But this is anxiety. I don't know now what are the thoughts which cross your mind when when you listen to that voice. Say One, we can say this is a sensitivity to noise. Another is that you are scared of whom you have to talk to now. Right? So there may be many reasons. Um, we'll have to talk about it if I have to get to know what is happening. But this is anxiety, yes. Yeah. I get a lot of stomach ache, especially on days when I have something to present. What should I do? Yeah. So now, as I mentioned earlier, that this is how our body and mind are related. So I don't think that you would have any difficulties in your stomach physically, but these stomach aches are psychological. These are psychological, but manifested in a physical symptom, right? Like you said, you clearly said that when you have to present something, you feel this kind of fear, right? Or you experience stomach aches, right? So I would suggest all of you who all are having these anxiety problems to start doing whatever tips I have given, those 5 and 6 things I have given, and do it for at least a month and see if you have a positive effect of that. But still, if you're not able to control it, still you are having that kind of anxiety, then probably you see somebody. Okay. Yeah.
Dr. Sheba, there is a question received privately. If the person isolates himself or herself from his friends and family, would you call that depression or anxiety of not facing anyone?
Now, like I said, there is no one symptom with the help of which I will be able to diagnose it. That's a symptom of many disorders. Like isolation, suppose because of social anxiety, you have isolated yourself. That will lead to some kind of sadness because we are social beings and we cannot live without people. And if you have isolated yourself from people or from friends, obviously you'll feel sad. And if this sadness lingers on for a longer time, say 15-20 days, then we may say that this is depression. Okay. And also, if suppose because of depression you have isolated, that's also a case. Because of sadness, because of something else you are sad, and then you don't want to talk to anybody, that's a symptom of depression.
Next question. I can't sleep at night, so what do I do about it? I think that's very.
Okay, I would need a little more explanation about it. You can't sleep at night. For how many days have you not been able to sleep? Or is it a disturbed sleep? Or you take some time to get sleep, right? Or you wake up in the middle of the night with a jerk, or you wake up early in the morning with a jerk. How is it? All, even if any of these are present, that's a sign of anxiety. That's also a sign of depression. But uh, the diagnosis can be only made after you show up other symptoms also.
Okay. Last two questions, if you allow, Dr. Shiva.
Yes, please. I have other private questions also.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
would you like to take one or two, and then I would just take one or two,
A few
which you
people
feel
are
are really,
asking
really high priority ones, maybe
A few
really
people are
required.
asking me on personal chat to let Dr. Sheba read the private chat. So, Dr. Sheba, if you could, yours only.
Sorry, I couldn't get that. You say I later on take them, the private
No,
chat?
some people are asking me to ask you to read the private chat. So,
Okay,
if
okay,
you
please do that. Please do that.
no, if you could read your private chats, people have sent in like questions to you and they're asking me to ask you to
Okay.
do the same.
Okay. So somebody has asked, I have hyperpigmentation on my wrist and back due to stress. I overthink on minute details, and when something bothers me, I need to find a solution to it as soon as possible. Writing this is also making me feel anxious, but I really want to know how can this be treated. Yes. Now another aspect to anxiety is the skin problems, right? Many of us say eczema is another difficulty. Like this person has written hyperpigmentation on the wrist and back. So on any body part you can have say irritation or itching because of stress. And see, it starts with stress. It starts with itching or say maybe rubbing your skin when you're anxious. This becomes a habit, and when you continuously do it, it becomes a skin problem, right? So the base is stress, definitely. And now, because it has become a skin problem, a medicine is important. But the base is anxiety and stress. So get yourself treated for anxiety and stress. Okay. And this seems to be of high intensity. So better go and seek help from a professional. Right. How to deal with the disturbed sleep? We have already answered this. I wake up feeling anxious. Also, this also we have answered. Somebody is asking, do you connect online? Yes, I connect online. So somebody has also asked for my number. Probably your professor and your colleagues would share my number with.
Yes, surely
Sure.
we'll do that, Dr. Sheba.
Then how to deal with shyness and fear of public judgment? Can our personal insecurities lead to anxiety? Yes, definitely. Your personal insecurities, or when these personal insecurities also become public, because you get affected by others also in the society. So these are personal insecurities. It may start with your personal insecurities, but when they are reinforced by others in the office, in the college, or your workplace, or wherever, but when others also start telling you about the same thing, then probably you feel this kind of anxiety. And you can definitely overcome it. Now, when you're talking about shyness and fear of public judgment and public speaking also, I would say indulge in more of it. Start communicating with people whom you are familiar with. Start with that. Okay. Don't back out. Don't shirk from going for public speaking. Wherever you find an opportunity, please go and speak. What will happen? You will speak some facts wrong, maybe. So then what will happen? You can be wrong sometimes, right? You can also tremble sometimes. You can fear sometimes. That's okay, right? But don't stop doing it. Keep on doing it, and one day you will see the results. Okay. Somebody is saying, I have visited a dermatologist and he prescribed me creams to reduce the marks. Other than that, he told me to stress less. Yeah. So we have discussed this, right? My sister gets headache almost thrice a week and is continuously having sensitivity to light and sound since more than a year. Could GAD be a reason? Should she seek help? Yes, anxiety definitely is a reason. GAD, I don't know, because I would need to get more symptoms to diagnose. So, but I would say the base seems to be anxiety. Yeah. How to stop to go down the spiral of overthinking, especially right at the start. Right at the start, Please exercise, sleep, take care of your sleep and appetite, and exercise daily. And if you can also indulge in some good music, that is instrumental music. Okay, don't listen to any lyrics, because that would again induce some thoughts in you, right? So instrumental music also should not be a Bollywood music, or you should not connect with that, right? So that should be a neutral music. You can also do some yoga to get rid of this overthinking, if you can, if you should say that. That is anxiety, right? So physical exercise is important. Often I get angry on small things and then later regret doing the same. Yeah, again, anxiety. uh, just see whether this anger is proportionate to what the problem is. If it is proportionate, that then anger is a normal emotion, and you can be angry at times. That's fine, right? But it should not be uh, disproportional to what the situation is. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm done with my questions.
There is a question: what to do if we have nightmares all time during sleep?
Mhm. We'll have to look into what kind of nightmares are those. What is the content of your nightmares, right? There can be many reasons for that, but the content, to understand the content, is important here. Yeah. But normally, when you have a disturbed sleep because of nightmares, it is anxiety, it is sometimes sadness and depression also.
Okay, and the last question, Dr. Sheba, if you allow, why do we always fear outcome while pursuing our goals in life?
Hmm. Okay, that's an interesting
I
question.
think that's could be a common question for quite a few of them, I guess, being a student life, I guess. Yeah, so
Okay. See, we look at the outcomes because we have some goals. And if we don't have any goals in our life, uh, we feel very, uh, say, unfinished kind of a thing, right? We need to have some goals. And we always tend to work towards our goals. If suppose you don't know what you have to do today, how will you be able to sleep in the night? If you have an accomplished day, you're very satisfied, you feel great about yourself, you feel great about society, about everything, and then you're very relaxed and you sleep comfortably because you have achieved your goal. So a life without goal seems to be useless. That's why we all have goals, and we achieve, or we have a goal to achieve that goal, whether it is a small term goal, a short term, or a long term. So we all have a long term goal. I have to become this. So when you ask a 3-year-old, what would you want to become? He would say, I want to become a doctor. Okay, and that at that time he doesn't know anything about what a doctor is. But then as he grows towards his goal, right? Because he's been telling every day, or his parents are telling him every day. uh, Probably the times have changed now and people have other options also, and children start thinking on their own when they are in 10th grade or 11th grade, or maybe earlier, and they think that what they have to do in life, and then they start working towards it. Now the ultimate goal is supposed to become a doctor, and after 10th grade he will take up sciences, the physical sciences, to become a doctor. He cannot take commerce to become a doctor, right? So this is his small term goal, a short term goal. And then he wants to get into MBBS. He manages to get into that, appears for this competitive examination, get into it, and then he has small goals to reach his ultimate goal. And that's how outcomes become so important. They're very satisfying.
So much for accommodating so many questions, Dr. Sheba. Okay. Over to you, Divya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheba, for answering so many questions. I'm sure those who have been over here and attended the entire session, they have a lot to take away today. So I would just like Vanshika to formally give a vote of thanks. And
Yeah. Hello, I am Vanshika Mithani, and on behalf of H.R.College, the HSNC board, and Team HR Speaks, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude to our esteemed speaker for today's session, Dr. Sheba Singh, for taking the time off your busy schedule and enlightening us all today. Thank you so much for being a part of this initiative, ma'am, and guiding us all on how to combat anxiety and overthinking. I think something that's the need of the hour today. The audience's response, I think, itself is testimony to how extraordinary and immensely beneficial your session has been, ma'am. There are so many valuable takeaways, like Divya said, from this wondrous session. Thank you for helping us forward our cause of spreading awareness on mental health and mitigating any stigma that might surround it. I would also sincerely like to thank our backbone, our teacher in charge of HR Speaks, Professor Shweta Singh, and all the faculty members that have joined in today. And last but definitely not the least, a very big thank you to all our attendees for your time and participation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Dr. Shweta.
Thanks for coming in and sparing your time, Dr. Sheba. Thank you so much.
thank you so much.
We're looking forward for more question and answer session next time, maybe, because yeah. And we'll be surely passing on the number to in case if anyone wants to personally connect. I'm sure there would be few would have liked to ask you questions, but due to short of time or whatever the reasons could not discuss with you, right? So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can we formally end the meeting now? Just a minute.
Can I leave now?
Yes, Dr. Sheba. Thank you so much.
Thank you.